Hi there, my name is Andy Young and I'm an automotive lecturer for Unitec down in Auckland, New Zealand. And this is a video which is part of the basic skills family of videos that I'm putting together for budding mechanics and people that like to fix their cars at home that don't have much experience in that just yet. These videos just cover the really essential skills, basic sort of skills required to embark on some of the bigger jobs and repairs on cars. And at the moment we're sort of focusing on wiring, and wiring plays a huge part of cars these days. There's lots of wiring on them. On the really old stuff there was hardly any wires around, but now tons of wiring. And every now and again you've got to cut wires and replace wires and connect wires, that kind of stuff. And on this particular video we're going to cover crimp type connectors. Now crimp connectors, you know, there's heaps and heaps of them out there. You can see all those there, look. You know, I've got boxes and boxes and boxes of these. I was really lucky actually when I was at college. I built an off-road buggy and I got sponsored by Lucas, I think it was. Lucas sponsored me, and Durite as well. Lucas, all the fuses and things, and Durite gave me boxes and boxes of crimp type connectors. Thank you very much, Durite. And I'm still using them. This is like, you know, 30 years later and I'm still using the same box of connectors. That's how many they gave me. Very, very grateful. So, you know, why do we use crimp type connectors? Well, we use them because they are quick and simple and easy and a lot better than just twisting wires together. Not quite as good normally as soldering, but crimp type connectors, and you can get all this stuff in solder versions as well, and you can get you know, different quality ones to these as well. These are pretty good. These are very common. We also use ones that, for example, are not insulated, and there's a couple of non-insulated ones. And then you have a rubber sleeve, a see-through sleeve that comes down, and these are really good because these are what they sort of mimic what you'd find on a motorcycle. So it's almost like for like. When you see this kind of stuff, you know that somebody's been in and been messing around with it that may not know what they're doing. If it goes to a motorcycle shop or a decent garage, then they'll use the non-insulated type with the clear boot to insulate it afterwards. So they do all the crimping and then they slide those two boots down and it seals the whole thing up. A lot more waterproof, and that sort of mimics what you used to see on sort of 1980s, 1990s motorcycles. Really good stuff. Before multi-plugs became the common thing, which we see now on cars and bikes as well. So how do we use a crimp type connector? Well, first of all, you need some crimp type pliers, and this is a set here. I've got heaps of different variations around, and you may also have noticed that the crimp connectors are color coded. So let's grab a few different colors for you, and essentially there are 3 different colors. You've got, putting them in order, you've got red, and that's a very small section wire. You see the little tiny hole down there. We've got blue, which is for the next size wire up, and of course we've got the yellow for the largest gauge wire that these things can do. Now obviously we can go a lot bigger, and you can buy stuff like these which go on to like heavy gauge wire for starter cables and bits and pieces, but they're sort of a different kind of thing, and you crimp these in a vise and you solder them. But we're going to focus on these sort of standard crimp terminals today on this very short video. I've got to keep reminding myself these videos are supposed to be really short and simple, so let's crack on. Bit of wire, you want to put a connector on the end, so you just trim the wire back and you go, okay, well that's quite a thick section of wire. That's not bad at all. We'll give it a twist. You should always give the wires a twist, get all the strands to work together. And then, oh, okay, well I reckon it's probably too big for a red. Oh, what did just, okay. So a red does fit through there, that's great. Now we'll use a red then. Now you can see we've got, when it's pushed all the way down, we've got lots of protruding wire. That's bad. We're going to cut that off. So we'll just pull it off and we'll trim that down. Stick it back on again. There we go. Now you do want a little tiny bit sticking out, and if you can see on there, there's probably a couple of mil sticking through. And this is a red terminal, which means it's the smallest of the three. And, oh man, these are old. You can see that or not. But on these jaws here, these are the jaws that we use to crimp these kind of terminals. And you'll see here, the end one, can you see the red in there? Look, that's red, that's blue, and that's yellow. So for the red type terminals, we use the red crimp, and the blue, terminals, middle one. And for the very large ones, the yellow. Tend not to use the yellow ones too often for wiring on cars. Normally the red or the blue. And you want to be using the terminal that best fits the wire. So this was a nice snug fit on the red, so we're going to use red. We could put a blue one on there, but it's going to be a bit loose. In that case, we can double back the wire, and I'll show you how to do that next. Okay, so we've got the terminal lined up, and we've got the crimp pliers. Now these particular crimp pliers are the same both sides. Sometimes they are handed. They're designed for right-handed people. Sorry, that's just the way it is. This one can be used by both, but most of them are right-handed. And you lay the terminal inside the pliers. Just click it down, and you can see that there, look. Okay, so we're now inside the pliers, and then you just crush it down and release, and you'll see in there, look, that it's now crimped that terminal, and that's great. That's really well held on, it's good. Don't try to solder it now because you'll just burn all the red insulation off. That is it, finished. They're a use once item. Don't try to uncrimp it and reuse it again. Now, when most people are buying terminals, they usually just go, oh, I'll get blue ones, it'll be alright, they'll do everything. Well, you can make them do stuff better, but they won't do everything. So, same bit of wire. Now we know that green wire fit the red terminals perfectly, so we know it's going to be a loose fit on the blue terminals. So what can we do about that? We've only got blue terminals in our toolbox. Fair enough. So same again, we're going to strip the wire back and we're going to flick it round, and this time we're going to double it over. We're going to bend it, so we put our thumbnail in there and then fold it back on itself. Now cutting it down is not possible anymore. Hopefully we've got this the right sort of length, and give it a wiggle and it should, hopefully, it's going to be tight. Doesn't always happen. Okay, that should hopefully fit through there. Oh, it's going to be close. Let's get some pliers and give it a little nip down. Okay, so pair along those pliers. We're just going to make sure that the bend on the end isn't preventing it from going down. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Find another bit of wire that will. Okay. Oh, there we go, look. Whoa, that was a good fit. Okay. There you go. Alright. So now we've used the same wire on a blue terminal, and we've just doubled the wire back on itself, and that's going to give it a really good contact. Is it better? Is it worse? Personally, I like this, because it's sort of, for me, it makes the end of the connection stronger. There's a bit more wire for it to grip hold of. I'm not a great fan of the red ones, but when the wire gets real thin, you're going to have to use the red ones. But then again, I prefer the solder types. So can't please me at all, can you really? Right, so there's the blue one, and now this time we're going to use the middle crimp on there, the blue one. So again, you just line it up. Always keep them vertical, and see that or not there, look, we're just going to line it up so that the blue is just on the edge of the tool both sides there, so it's flush with both sides of the tool, and it's actually the actual crimp terminal, the end of the terminal is parallel to the jaws, and then we're just going to give it a crimp up. And you've got to go all the way right down to the bottom, and you'll find that a lot of these tools won't release until they get to that point. That ensures that you've got the correct tension, the correct amount of crimping pressure on that terminal, and then you can release, and hey presto, there you go, another crimped terminal. Now obviously these don't just come with rings on the end, although I've been using those because I don't want to waste good ones, but you also get male and female. Now these are by far the most commonly used. And if you're crimping up to a relay, for example, there's a relay, you're crimping up to that, these are the terminals that you put on the end of your wire to crimp to that, to connect to that particular relay. These are all usually standardized. Can you go red to blue? Sure, of course you can. If you've got a thin wire going to a slightly thicker wire, then of course you can go red to blue, no problem. They're actually, the actual terminal parts of the terminal are standardized. The colour denotes the thickness of the wire that they can connect to. Now, this is a fully insulated female. This is a fully insulated male. You can also get what I call piggybacks, which are those where you can put basically join 3 wires together. You can also, if you've got 2 thin wires and you want to bring them both together, you see that a lot on earths and stuff, you can twist up both wires and put them in parallel into a blue one and then crimp it up, providing they're both thin enough. If not, you might have to go up a size and use the yellow terminals. Okay, so these are pretty good. There's not really much holding these together. So if you've got a pair like that, and if they've been pulled apart a couple of times, they're going to be pretty weak at staying together. And if they're on a vehicle, they could rattle free. It's always a good idea to grab a bit of insulation tape when you finish the job. Just you know, an inch length, that's all you need. Get your tape, stick it on, you know, and then just wrap it round like that. And that's going to keep those 2 connectors actually together and stop them accidentally coming apart. You know, yes, it looks a bit more messy, but you'll thank me if you've got a 4-wheel drive and you go off road a lot, and one of these comes undone behind your dashboard. It's not funny, you know. If your ignition stops working or whatever it is, all for the sake of a bit of tape. And it doesn't take a second to take apart again later on, but it gives security to that wire, you know. So there you go, crimp type terminals. Easy. You don't need a heat source to use them. You just need a pair of crimping pliers. Again, if I'm out off-roading somewhere in my Safari, going on a long trip, it's this kind of stuff that I'll take with me. I won't take the soldering iron and the generator and all that kind of stuff. Just, you know, a good handful selection of crimp terminals, trusty old pliers. If you haven't got pliers, God, you know, yeah, you can use more grips. It's not ideal. Again, it's not perfect. You're not going to get the right kind of effect. You risk damaging the insulation on these things, but it does work. I've done it before in an emergency situation where you haven't got many tools just to get you home. Yes, I know I left it for a year too, but the fact is it does work. Can you use normal pliers? Nah, not really. You can't quite get the pressure that you need in normal pliers. It ends up being quite difficult. But with mole grips, you've got a lot more leverage. That's vice grips if you come from America. You know, again, you're using a standard toolbox tool, which is there, look, okay, standardized tool like your toolbox. You're going to have some of these regardless. Then all you need is a handful of terminals. It helps keep the cost down. But you know, please don't spread the word that Andy said use some of these, because Andy's not saying use some of these. Andy's just saying that these will work. Far better off using the right tool. And there are different qualities of these tools as well. The ones with the ratchet on board, you know, much better idea. The other ones, the cheaper ones, yes, they work. No, they're not as good. Simple. Okay, I hope you found that helpful. And well, that's it. We've come to the end of this very short video. Again, short, 14 minutes. Holy crap. Edit this one down. Okay, thanks for watching. My name's Andy Young. I'm one of the lecturers down at Unitec in Auckland, New Zealand. Any questions, comments, whatever on this video? Yeah, okay, you might think I've done something wrong. Do I need to know about it? If I do, if I really, really need to know about it, please tell me. If I don't really need to know about it, if it's a bit picky, then, you know, just forget it. I'm not interested. Just go and have a pint somewhere and relax. Leave a comment at the bottom and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. And, well, there you go. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Over and out.